everyone, and welcome to Sailtrek SOC. My name is Ria. I am your host, and today I'm very pleased to bring you Jennifer Johnson. She is the owner of Jenn Events in the Virgin Islands and Epic Presentations in St. Barths. How are you, Jen?
Doing great today, Ria. Doing great. Excited to be with you.
Yeah, well, I'm thrilled to have you. I've had you on a different show prior, but we were talking about something completely different. And I really wanted to connect with you because you've grown up in the Caribbean, no?
Yes, most of my life has been in the Caribbean. I actually moved here really full time when I was 17, but I was born in San Juan in Puerto Rico.
Nice. Well, what is it? Tell me the magic for you about the Caribbean.
Well, you know, every island is different. Right now, I am between St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands and St. Barths in the French West Indies. And there's actually old-time connection with the two islands. Of course, I love the people. And every island has I sort of say St. Thomas is the New York City of the Caribbean. We have people from all different islands living here all over the Caribbean. And you know, there's just a lot of magic here. There's a lot of beauty. I love being surrounded by water. So I love the beaches. And I mean, the list goes on and on for me.
Well, tell me about some of the things that most tourists heading over to the Caribbean, they wouldn't really know about unless a local told them.
Well, one of the things that people would not know is actually about this French connection. You know, French people came here to St. Thomas many years ago when there was no work in St. Barths. So we have a lot of crossover families that have relations here and there. And here in St. Thomas, we have a whole area called Frenchtown, which is a small, still lots of cottages there. It's on the water. There's two sections of the island. Anyway, there's so much history that a lot of people don't know. And also, you know, I mean, in addition to the influx of, you know, French people from St. Barths that came here because there was no work or food there. We also, of course, had, you know, this was an area where sugarcane was, and there's a deep history also in the colonial culture here that has changed dramatically. And we had, you know, slaves were free here 100 years prior to the States. And so it's very, very interesting. In this part of the West Indies, there's just a lot of history and a lot of culture.
And what is sort of the main income of those two islands?
Well, you know what? Both islands are really based on tourism. Mm-hmm. So tourism is our main base here, and it's also the main base in St. Barths.
So is there a lot of cruise ships? Is it yachting? Is it basic, you know, say families cruising, boating, or is it just people coming over for the sun and the sea or the sand, or which type of tourism?
Well, you know what? The tourism has changed. I mean, tourism has changed since COVID.
Yeah. And
so really, you know, what's interesting is in St. Thomas, we used to have a lot of cruise ships came here. They're starting to trickle back in slowly. What we've had is a lot of land-based tourism here over the last 2 years. We've had a massive increase in our yachting industry in the St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. We've had a big influx of, I mean, you had millions of travelers that were getting on cruise ships every year that are still wanting to travel. So now they're doing things like Airbnbs. They're doing things, you know, and actually a lot of that is they're spending more on these islands, which is been a savior for our economy during this time. And St. Barths still, you know, they kind of stopped and started quite a bit. I mean, St. Barths is sort of, there is a collectivity, that's the government there. They make final decisions, but they are associated with the government of France. So if France was having a shutdown, they're also associated with the other islands of Martinique and Guadeloupe. And so there's a lot of crossover between those islands and St. Martin. So when COVID numbers got super high in other places, they did close the borders. And now it's to arrive to St. Barths, you have to be vaccinated. Or you have to have a compelling reason to be there, which would be like a real estate transaction or something like that. So I think everybody's starting to reopen their doors in one way or another.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things that people tend to forget about the Caribbean is that there is many different governing bodies.
Mm-hmm. And here, you know, the Virgin Islands is a territory. Yeah. So we do not get to vote for president here, but we do get to, and we have we have a representation in Washington, but it's a non-voting party. So right now we really have a very dynamic person in Washington. Her name is Stacey Plaskett. She has been really up front and center on a lot of political issues, but it's pretty interesting here because we do pay federal tax, and we also do a lot of our guys go and fight in the services. So it's quite an interesting anomaly. And then St. Barths is fully ruled really by the collectivity. Anything on island is pretty much decided by this small governing body. They have a president who is voted in, who subsequently, the connections are so tight between St. Thomas and St. Barths. The president went to high school here in St. Thomas and comes here often. And there's many, many families here with lots of connections to St. Barths. It's quite interesting.
Now, was St. Barths or St. Thomas, either one, were they heavily affected by Maria and Irma? Because that wasn't too long before, you know, a couple of years before all of a sudden COVID hit and the pandemic hit.
Yeah, so 2017 is when Irma and Maria rolled through here in September, and all of the islands, St. Thomas was heavily affected. St. Barths was also heavily affected. St. Thomas more so. St. Barths got up and running relatively quickly afterward, but really full swing was 2019. So of course we were just about 4 months in or so to starting off season, and then everything shut down. So the same here in St. Thomas. 2019 started off really strong, and now unbelievably we're almost at 2022. So I can't believe it.
It's happened so fast. Do you think, I mean, you know, from everything, all the interviews that I've done, the people in the Caribbean, straight across the board, they're very, very resilient people. Do you think that you're going to start to see those numbers come back up? Because there was quite a significant amount of tourism prior to 2017. Do you think you're going to see those numbers start climbing up? Are you seeing a change in tourism in the future, do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's also in events and, you know, which is a good portion of my business as well. We've seen a huge uptick. We have, I mean, things are booked out already all the way through next summer. I mean, it's wild. And it's actually overwhelming, because part of that is that a lot of our labor pool, people who've worked here and worked in hospitality, have departed. Some people, you know, there was a good amount of either stateside people. The same thing has happened in St. Barths, whether it was a European contingent or a US contingent. You know, with COVID, people were rethinking, I need to be closer to my family, you know, because they couldn't necessarily get off island or get to the places that they wanted to get to be with their family, because traveling was so taboo. So it's been very, very interesting times. As I think it is everywhere, it seems that, you know, people are still coming back. So the Caribbean is coming back. It's coming back super strong, which is really exciting. Lots of projects in the future. And of course, everybody's proceeding cautiously, but with optimism.
And how is it affecting you? I mean, you know, we have talked about the fact that you do events and big events, actually, because you are doing the new Caribbean Yacht Charter Show that is coming up in St. Thomas in December. How is that affecting you in the way that you plan events? Because I'm assuming that you're going to have to make sure that all sorts of different protocols are followed, especially when we're talking larger events.
Large events, what we are doing is we are working closely with the Department of Health here to make sure that each event is to the current codes. which is, it takes a little bit more juggling. Obviously, we're hoping that we're taking every precaution that we can, as well as we've got, for the Caribbean Charter Yacht Show, we're seeing some interesting things happening with technology coming forward, and where we can keep track of different things, and how people are being tested, when they're being tested, they're uploading their test results, all things like that. That's happening quite a bit now at the airport here. It's been happening for quite a while. Again, St. Barths is, you have to be fully vaccinated. So you have to actually, the airlines going into St. Barths are responsible for the most part of making sure that people have been vaccinated, as well as they have to have a PCR antigen test 72 hours prior to arrival. So, and it's kind of the same going back out, in depending upon where you're departing to. So we're just, there are a lot more details. There's a lot more things like registering at portals wherever you're going. I'm finding it in all the islands. A lot of them have a portal now where you go online. You have to register with them. Some are sending you text messages every day. They're health checks. It's quite a lot. It's a new world we're in.
Well, I know you're extremely busy, and I know you've given me this time, and I really, truly do appreciate it in the middle of your day. Jenn, I wish you the best of luck, and I'm truly looking forward to seeing the results of this big endeavor that's coming up in December, and of course, all of the great things that you're going to be doing in 2022 and on, obviously, into the summer.
Yes, it is exciting, and I feel like there's new and exciting tours. There's new and exciting things happening. Everybody's kind of reinvented themselves. So we have a lot that's rolling out that'll be, that I think is going to create even better Caribbean experiences.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to make sure to provide all of your information below this interview when it airs. So if anybody is looking to have an absolutely amazing celebration or event in the Caribbean, specifically the Virgin Islands or St. Barths, they know who to get in touch with. Thank you, Jenn, so much for your time.
Thanks, Rhea. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Once again, this has been Jennifer Johnson from Jenn Events and Virgin Islands and Epic Presentations in St. Barths. You've been watching another edition of Inside Sailtrek SOC. My name is Rhea. I have been your host. We'll see you again next week.